All right, guys, so we're going to get started. Welcome to Elev8ed Gaming's podcast, episode 11. And there it is. This week, we have our friend Peaches joining us. We'll introduce Peaches or introduce him a little better in just a moment. Just to give you guys a heads up, DJ is feeling under the weather. Hopefully, by the time this comes out on YouTube, DJ's feeling back up to par. So kind of less than average, but whatever.
We'll survive.
So bear with them. Hopefully you guys don't get sick through the internet.
I probably shouldn't do that.
Sick place. The internet can absolutely be a sick place. Definitely more scary than COVID at times. So
right.
To get introductions out of the way, the gentleman down below me, that's a good position to be in there. The gentleman down below is Peaches. Peaches is from San Antonio, Texas, and we have invited him to join us today to talk about a lot of different things, all relating to different types of content creation. Peaches has a very diverse background in filmmaking, photography, streaming, and then blending those together in various ways. So before further ado, Peaches, is there anything you'd like to add? You want to say hello to everybody?
No, yeah, he's absolutely correct. I'm really good at everything I do. And my mom told me I was special when I was young, and I took that to heart. And that's what's led me to meet the greatness of these guys today. So thanks for coming by.
I like this guy. I like this guy already.
So what's crazy, though, is while it sounds like a fucking joke, it's not. So this guy decides, you know what? A couple of months ago, he's like, I've never drawn before. I'm going to draw and I'm going to go ahead and film it, because it will probably be good showing how this person who's great at everything sucks at something when he starts off. Dude, this man put out like the most incredible artwork from somebody that you would have like expected to have 20 years of experience, and it's his first time fucking around.
What? How's that even possible?
And you're gonna make me cry already. This is dumb. I wasn't prepared.
There's like 5 or 6 people that I know who currently have their profile pictures set to sketches. I can't even call them sketches, to artistic masterpieces that he did of them. After How long have you been drawing?
At that point, probably about 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it's I'll edit in some for the YouTube clip, but it's really impressive. And so far I haven't seen Peaches suck at anything except for No, I haven't. I got nothing.
Damn.
Nothing.
You were far too kind, my friend. I appreciate you.
So I guess to get started, for those of you who have been around on our streams for quite some time, a year ago, almost a year ago, I was talking a lot about the 48-hour film festival, and I aired the short film that we did last year, and it was really, really cool. So that's actually where I would like to get started. Peaches, you're much more into this than I have been. Can you give a breakdown of what the 48-hour film festival is?
Yeah, definitely. So the 48-hour film project is a worldwide event where throughout the whole year, every weekend from Friday through Sunday, a different city will get their turn. And it's usually like 2 or 3 different cities at a time. And you can have anywhere from 1 to 50 plus teams involved in every city. And you get 48 hours to create your film. It's from the kickoff at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday to drop off at 7:30 on a Sunday. And that includes drawing a genre out of a hat and getting 3 criteria, like a line of dialogue, a character, and a prop that you have to use in the film. That kind of ties everything in together to make sure that nobody's making films in advance and then just turning them in, so you're not cheating. And so you got to write a script, you got to get actors, you got to find locations, you got to shoot it, you got to get good audio, you got to edit it, you got to render it, and you got to deliver it back to the drop-off point all in 48 hours, which is a total rush. And most people spend the entire 48 hours awake trying to do something, because you usually have a small team and everybody has multiple jobs. Everybody's wearing many hats. So I started the 48-hour film project about 9 years ago. not knowing anything about film, I started working. I'd been doing photography for about probably 15 years by now, I guess. So I had camera equipment that was able to do what we needed, but I'd never done a film before, which is an entirely different approach to artistic, renditions of ideas that you might have. Completely different. It's like being a mechanic versus being a writer. And so we went in and we had no idea what we were doing, but we winged it with the passion and the hardware. We just didn't have the know-how. And so we called on friends to come together and help us out in any way that they could. And we did really good. And we've been doing that every single year. I think the last 2 or 3 years, Shane and I have worked on these projects together as well. He's done everything from just running gear back and forth to helping write the script to coaching people. We don't often get professional actors. So if you are a aspiring actor or a writer, or you want to be a grip or any kind of sound guy, these events are the best type of thing that you can do to kind of as your first foray into making films, because you will always learn something new. And it's such a tight-knit community because everybody knows everybody is there as a volunteer. Nobody's getting paid to come in as a pro. Mistakes are expected. And you will just have an awesome time getting to hang out with really passionate, creative people. And so if you can find one of these events to go off in your local area, your city, or even your state, a lot of teams will cross state lines to go try to do more competitions just to keep it going all year long. So if you can find out where to participate in that, I absolutely recommend it. Even if you've never done film before or acted before, if you have any kind of inkling of an interest, absolutely go headfirst into it.
So it's really crazy, and the reason, right? So for those of you who may be watching the streams or the podcast for the first time, DJ and I, we started off talking about primarily gaming and things centered around gaming, but really what we wanted to do was open up the different avenues and show that when it comes to content and content creation, like, not only is it not just about gaming and not just about Twitch, but it's important that you broaden your perspective if you plan to be successful. And so that's where we come back to with this. And so while you're talking about, even if you haven't had any experience in what you would think of for short films, if anybody who's watching that may have interest in this, if you've ever done anything with streaming or any level of content creation, you have a skill set that you will be able to lend to a team who is putting together a film. And if you don't have any experience, but it's something that you want to get into, I really like it because going into this, let's say you plan on streaming a year or two from now, or 6 months or whatever from now, if you have an opportunity to work with these short film projects, the experience that you're going to get in a 48-hour time period is unmatched. And it's stuff that you will be able to lend to any other type of content creation. DJ, I know that you haven't gone to any of these types of projects, or you haven't been part of the 48-hour film thing. You've heard me talk about it some.
Yes.
But as Peaches is talking about it, like, are there elements of that you can see that you've already done when creating, like, the edits or learning to work with After Effects or anything that where you're putting together the content and you've got a self-imposed timeline and that, like, you recognize that crunch?
Yeah, man, I can't imagine trying to do all that in, what'd you say, 48 hours? Like, that ain't shit, dude. Like, I've been working on some edits myself, and that shit takes so long. I can't imagine what an actual film, like how much time just goes into the editing, not taking into account like the recording too, and all the fuck ups, and I don't know how you guys do it.
No, you're absolutely right. It's definitely intimidating to even think about because it is a huge project, right? And you think about, if I were to do a film, if I had to set up the lights, if I had to set up the camera, if I didn't know how to do the clapboard, if I had to know how to do the editing and the music and all that stuff, it's overwhelming. One person could do it, but you have to be really well versed in all these disciplines. Mm-hmm. So what's cool about this is that you can find people who already know a little bit about something. I don't know After Effects very well, so if I was going into something that I knew I needed that, I'd reach out to somebody like you and be like, hey, I need you for like 4 hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
And you kind of like delegate responsibilities like that. And so what we do in our situation is, as we shoot throughout, like, so we spend the first 6 hours usually just kind of coming up with an idea writing a script, thinking about locations and all that, and then we'll get people out there and we'll just kind of go balls to the wall. And then as soon as we start shooting, we turn over that footage immediately to an editor on site who starts editing it right then and there. We give them the general idea of like where this project's going, but in the meantime, make all these clips clean that we can just import into Premiere as we need. And that really helps because, yeah, if you wait until crunch time, you're never going to get it done. So you have to do it in tandem throughout the entire weekend. That teaches you so many time management skills and delegation skills because as an artistic person, and I hate calling myself an artiste or whatever, but with anybody who has an artistic mind, they're usually erring on the side of perfectionism. And it's really hard to get productive if you are not of the mindset that done is better than perfect. Because if you're 1 minute late in this project, your whole team is disqualified. Your film will not go on to win awards, and you won't get riches and fame like Shane and I have. So, and so you have to like kind of be willing to forfeit the perfection in your mind at what it could be, and it forces you to kind of cool down the icing on the cake just to get the cake done. And once you have that done, usually it's going to be a lot better than you even worried about, because if you didn't have that in the first place, now you're at least a contender. You're able to move on, look at the next project that you have coming down the pipe or the next year. Now you know, okay, this is where I struggled last time, and this is where having somebody that would have known this type of situation or discipline really would have helped. I didn't know that we needed a sound guy the first year, but I definitely knew it the second time around. And also going back to what Shane was talking about, it's when you have all these people that are consolidated and they're all of a like mind and they're all creative, but they're all very, very good and they're like mavens in their fields. Just the fact that you can go up to them and be like, hey, how do I use a sound recorder? Like, or what does a softbox do? What's a boom arm do? Those people who do this as a living or they are passionate about it, they know more about that thing than you probably know about anything if you're not a passionate person. So that person can teach you in the bare bones way that going to school for 4 years probably would take forever to teach these things to you. They can teach you more in half an hour than you can learn in half a year in most places. So just being exposed to these people and the passionate minds out there, the same way that you can offer to people things that you know about and that you enjoy doing, everything from streaming, running your lights, getting your audio right. Talk to somebody who's not a streamer and they're going to be blown away. You're a magician.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
if they go in and they're like, hey, could you help me set this up? You're going to blow them away because you're doing what you're awesome at. And that's what these types of events really cater to. And that's what they're really valuable for.
Yeah.
So let me stop you real quick there, PJ. So we briefly touched on like the 8 to 10 really big pieces of what goes into making a short film, right? So gathering people, writing a script, writing a script, coming up with a plot, like coming up with an idea,
the concept,
writing a script, gathering your actors, assigning roles, the filming, the sound, the editing, and then posting, getting it out there. For those of you that don't know Peaches, what would you say is like the one part of that you're the best at?
Oh man, no. Again, it's like I think I'm very much a jack of all trades, and I'm not a master of any. Right, a master of none. Like the whole quote goes, "Better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one, but better than a master of none," or something like that. I just like the idea that I can get people who've never met each other, who are very good at the things that they do, to come into a room and work together. And if at the end of the weekend they're friends or they've made connections that they can take elsewhere, even if I'm not related to that or involved in those projects, that's what makes me happy. Those are the things that, like, beyond the fact that we've all completed a project that's ideally worth watching twice. Like everybody's going to be a friend and watch it the first time. But if you can get somebody who doesn't even know you to want to watch something that you've created twice, you've succeeded, right? If you've made them think about stuff, if you've made them laugh or cry or, cry out in shock or whatever, those are successes. But at the end of the day, I still have friends who have known each other from the very first project that we did 9 years ago, and they've gone into businesses together. They've, developed businesses around the skill set that they learned from these situations. And while I may not have been like the catalyst towards them moving that direction, the fact that I had even a little bit to do with that, I'm like, that's what life's all about, in my opinion. So I know that's a very grandiose statement to make about something that's just a weekend project.
Dude, but that's what I would say is what you're best at, hands down, is bringing those people together, and not just bringing them together, but like finding them, and then
master coordinator,
a collector of good people.
I like to collect people, definitely.
I don't know if that's
that doesn't sound right.
So
speaking of people, like on average, like how many people does it take to pull this off, the short film?
3. I would say 3. Bare minimum, ideally, you'd have a video guy, a sound guy, and an actor. Everything else is kind of like bonus. But you could obviously do it one person. If you're a kid, if you're a 14-year-old kid and you have a video camera and a tripod, the sky's your limit. You can learn how to do so many cuts to make it look like there's 15 cameramen. If you are the only voice, there's so many storylines you could create. The same way that if you had 100 people, your film's not guaranteed to be good just because you have the resources. I've met people who are from the Netherlands who got sponsored by Ferrari, who are a team of 25 people. They get a $500,000 budget or something crazy when they do these things. And it's all intended to be free, but you can get sponsors that'll help you secure gear and locations. Their stuff is amazing, but it doesn't always win. And so when you see guys, for context, and I know we gotta kind of move on from this topic.
No, you're good.
But at Filmapalooza, which when your team wins the best of for your local city, you are invited to send your film to Filmapalooza, and your entire team is invited to go as well. We went to the Filmapalooza a few years back, about 5 years ago, I guess, in New Orleans. And in New Orleans, we had 500 plus filmmakers from around the world consolidated there. The pub crawl was amazing. We lost people. I don't know if they were ever found. But one of my favorite things from that is that for us and my team, there was about 9 of us that went. We had most of us took a Greyhound bus, right? You can get the mega bus. You can get a ticket from Texas to New Orleans for $60. So for us, it was a weekend trip, a 5-day getaway in New Orleans. Didn't really take much effort for us to kind of get the vacation time and roll out. One of the most inspirational stories from that whole weekend is that when I met this guy who, when he arrived at the theater, he rolled up in a limo, and he had like a bodyguard and a personal broadcasting team, like a film guy, and they were interviewing him everywhere he went. And it turns out he's from like South Africa, and his submission was basically shot on a little old school Handycam 4x3 format, no good audio, no good lighting. And his film was about basically somebody in a village had an affair, and the husband found out because he got AIDS from his wife, who had been cheating on him with another person who had AIDS. And then the guy goes at him and chops him up with a machete. Super graphic, but it wasn't like shown on screen. But it was just the fact that this guy made a film with maybe a $30 video camera, right, from like 15, 20 years ago. And he won the competition, and he was a local hero. He was a national hero. And his city or whatever raised like $50,000 to get him a passport, new clothes, a week at the Hilton in New Orleans, and just went balls to the wall for this guy. And so when he arrived, it was like the first person from his village that had ever come to America. And now he's hanging out in New Orleans with 500 filmmakers. And I was like, man, I got to recalibrate my appreciation of this, because for me, it was just a fun weekend. It was something that we got lucky that we did a good job, and we got invited to come to this thing. It cost us maybe like each person maybe under $500. But for that guy, if he hadn't won that, he would never have come to this country. Most of those people never would have.
Exactly.
And the fact that the whole country took it so seriously, I was like, okay, I got to grow up. I got to get a little more mature about this, because this is a big deal. So yeah, that's just one of those things that stood out to me. We got to take a moment to acknowledge all these people in the chat. We got a whole gang of people that have showed up.
So actually, we won't acknowledge everybody in the chat just yet, Peaches. So since we do this both live and for YouTube, acknowledging everybody in the chat as it comes through is difficult. But usually towards the end, we will take a couple of questions from the chat, and we have a pretty good way that we go through this. That way we can, because everybody that's in here knows we love these guys. But we will give them an opportunity to get in on this and ask some questions if they have any. So we talked about your short filmmaking quite a bit, right? And for me, a lot of the things that you described, I see in what DJ and I try and put together. Not always on the tight 48-hour time restraints, but about trying to find a team of people to come together and support one another, right? And so for the most part, our core people is the two of us, and then we have our third person, who's our community manager,
Yep.
Ice Wolf, who helps kind of round things out. And then all of our community members really provide a lot of the assistance with dialogue, and they provide, like, it's kind of like writing the script, and they keep us going in the right direction. In a way, at times, they are our energy drinks that keep us going.
Yeah.
But have you taken anything that's a little less obvious from your experience working with films and applied it to streaming? Like, is there any learning experiences that like have really helped you out? Because how long have you been streaming?
So this time around, I'm a boomerang streamer. My first foray into streaming was about 9 months ago. I did it for about 3 months, and I came back about a week and a half ago.
Right. So by anybody's standards, you are an absolute novice when it comes to
Super amateur,
streaming.
noob.
So, but there is nothing about what we're looking at right now that says you are a noob when it comes to streaming.
Nothing at all.
Your video looks better than either of ours. Your housekeeper is fucking amazing.
Right.
So
Sponsored by Hogwarts.
But not everybody.
I like that.
Not everybody gets that. You didn't just start off with all of this stuff because you came into it streaming. So break this down for us. Help me understand how the transition from filmmaking to streaming. Like, what benefits did you have from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm definitely not the average noob streamer because I already had the advantage of having hobbies that were related to the elements that streaming requires, right? Having video camera equipment, having lighting gear, having audio equipment, everything that I just talked about. Having done photography for almost 20 years, having done video for about 10 years, you amass through what we call gas gear acquisition syndrome, where you just constantly want to get new and better gear, lenses, cameras, microphones.
We have that.
Yeah.
And absolutely. The moment you get into a new
what
hobby,
it was called, but now you diagnosed us. So.
Most hobbies will get you to break that door down, and then you're like, oh man, this entry level thing is awesome, but exponentially better products come out, and but you got to keep in mind, you got to keep a very tight grip on your budget, because the same way that a $4,000 guitar will not sound better when you're playing it than if you were playing a $400 guitar, if you don't know what you're doing. Right? You can get an amazing camera, you can get the highest end microphone and mixer and lighting, but if you don't know the fundamentals of it, then what's the perk? Where's all that going? Right? You can't get a Ferrari if you're never going to go 200 miles an hour because you don't know how to drive. And so, to answer or go back to Shane's question, from starting photography, I gained a lot of camera gear. I use Canon equipment. The camera that I'm using as a webcam right now is a Canon SL2, which is a super entry level camera. It's already been followed up by a SL3, the newer generation. You can get that camera used.
Hold on. Pause real quick. Super entry level. Super entry level for what? Because a super entry level camera is a Logitech C720.
No, you're absolutely right. So
yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm obviously very biased with my comments. Thank you for calling me out on that, because it's
C920 right there.
Most streamers have something like this: a Canon, or was it a Logitech C920?
Yeah.
This has a microphone built in. It's got a 1080 camera. It shoots at 30 frames a second. That's almost all you'll need, because that camera can almost look exactly as good as this camera. But neither of these cameras will look good if I didn't have lighting. Right now, I've got 3 lights on, right? I've got a basic ring light over here. I've got a basic small LED panel right here. And I've got a 42-inch parabolic octabox over here run by what is that? It's an Aperture 120D. That is a $700 light. These things over here are like $150 each. But it doesn't matter. The cost doesn't matter so much as the size of the light source. So going back into photography, I am colorblind.
What the hell did you just say?
right? So as a baseline, I'm a colorblind photographer. So that is an uphill
Damn.
battle. It's as Sisyphus as it gets because you're just constantly trying to roll a big old boulder up a hill. Learning how to do color correction was just a pain in the ass because I can't see reds and greens, right? So my red screen behind me is just the only saving grace I have from y'all seeing my dirty ass room. But with that being said, what I learned to do in photography was use artificial lighting, flashes, external lights, studio lights, monoblocks, monolights, speed lights, all that stuff. Using flashes allowed me to focus on the lighting of a subject as opposed to having to worry about color correcting it because all flashes come out at 5500 Kelvin color temperature. So I know in Photoshop, I could just go through and make sure that all my color correction is set to say that white or daylight, whatever the light source is, was 5500 Kelvin. And then all of a sudden, everything looks awesome. So using that, that allowed me to get into photography and be able to literally paint with light, right? Which is what photography stands for or means in Latin. So using that, I learned the importance of the quality of light. So a small light source can be very bright, meaning you can light up something from across a room or only from a few inches away. But the size of the light matters more than the intensity of the light to an extent. And so by that, I mean, if I had just these two smaller lights on, the light hitting me would be very, very harsh. But the moment I turn on this really big softbox, everything looks awesome because I look like I'm drenched in super soft light, like I've got a huge window in front of me. That light, the modifier, the light, the C stand, all that stuff right there is probably about $1,000 of lighting gear. But you can get a $40 LED shop light from Home Depot, put it on the light stand, 15 bucks, get a shoot through umbrella for 15 bucks, and it'll be equivalent to that, if not better, because it'll be brighter, because it's going to be shooting direct LED light through a soft light, which the moment you apply that modifier to it, doesn't matter if you have $1,000 light or a $25 light, it's going to look the same. All you got to do is go into your software and color correct so that your camera sees that lighting as the source of white. And that can be done in advanced settings from Logitech cameras. You can specify that setting on a DSLR. So lighting matters more than the camera. But
so let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so for Emily in chat said it's like a real life instant Photoshop filter, and I think that sums it up really, really well. But
yeah, I'd agree with that.
We digress. So you're going through, and everything you just explained obviously helps answer the question of what gave you a leg up and what skill sets are you able to transition over and help you get into streaming. But what the fuck is the SL2 an entry level into?
You kind of just went around that question.
Right. So in the realm of cameras, you've got about three different tiers, right? You have smartphones, which are really good cameras for what they are, but you don't have a lot of control over them. You don't have any additional lenses, except for the new iPhone has ultra wide and magnify or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But you're still limited to like maybe three different focal lengths, and they're not very good in low light. They're getting there. They're getting better. But even if you had a phone as a webcam, you could still make this exact image because it's about the quality of the light. So moving up from a cell phone, you'd have basically point and shoots. Any kind of camera that you can get for like $100 to $500. Sometimes they're like, what do you call it? Hybrid cameras that have a bigger lens that'll zoom in and out of it. Don't waste your time on that because you don't have any control over it, and you don't have a good quality of lens or the glass in front of that camera giving you the best possible image. So moving into the realm of DSLRs, digital single lens reflex cameras that you can change the lenses out of, you have the entire world of options. You have a whole lot of brands. You got Fuji, Sony, Nikon, Canon, whatever. I've been shooting Canon my whole life. I've shot a whole bunch of cameras. I just think Canon is more user-friendly. So in that realm, you have another three tiers. You have the entry level, you have prosumer, and then professional. Professional cameras are going to be about $5,000 and up. That's like the 1DX Mark II or 3 or whatever they have. The entry level are going to be the smaller DSLRs that don't have a lot of features or as many features as the prosumer level. So you're kind of limited. But for a webcam, the SL2 is perfect for it. You can get these used on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever for like anywhere from maybe $250 to $400. A big investment, but you are going to have premier quality photos or images as opposed to any other webcam because the sensor inside that camera is so much bigger. It's able to create a better looking image because there's less noise. Depending on the lens that you can put on there, You're going to have the ability to have shallow depth of field, which is going to give you the blurry background. Again, I photoshopped this. These guys saw me Photoshop this from a very sharp image behind me. And again, this is just a green screen, right? Like a Harry Potter cloak of invisibility. And I threw a photo up there. The fact that that looks so good and real is because it's blurred out, and it makes me look like I'm sharp. It looks like I have that depth of field separating me from the background. So a lens can do that, and you can have a whole library of lenses, all going to cost anywhere from $100 to $2,000. But there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of middle ground in there. And so going from there, that's where you want to focus. You want to focus on the prosumer stuff, which is going to basically be also the amateur stuff. Canon SL2, the SL3, the 60D. I'm sorry, not the 60D, the 80D, 77D, 7D Mark II. Canon just recently released some software that allows you to use some of their newer DSLRs as a webcam. Just go to Google and type in Canon webcam utility. It's free. It has a list of all the cameras that you could use with that listed on there. It's still in beta, so there's a lot of options and features that aren't available yet. But that'll kind of give you a baseline of what camera to look for. The moment you have that, you don't need as powerful a light, because DSLRs are better in low light than webcams. With a webcam, you're going to need like twice as much light to have the same image or image quality. And so to answer your question, that's what the SL2 is. It's just a handheld. It's the smallest body smallest body Canon DSLR that you can get, and they are dirt cheap. The one perk about it is that it has what's called dual pixel autofocus. Don't worry about that. All it means is that it will still autofocus during video mode. Most other cameras can do autofocus and do live video, but they can't do the same thing. If it has dual pixel autofocus, that's what you want. It's going to be a little bit of a price jump for those, usually like $50 to $75, because the SL1 doesn't. Oh, what's that?
So,
oh, definitely worthwhile. And so and you guys know this, because when you look at gear, it's often maybe a $20 to $30 or $50 difference between what you want to get to what you can afford. And you know that, like, oh man, that extra $40 can go a long way to somewhere else. But think about how often you use these things. If your business or your hobby focuses on, or your passion focuses on the usage of these tools, whether it's a $500 mixer or a $150 microphone, obviously start off slow, right? Get what you can afford, figure out if it's even for you, figure out if this is the route that you want to go down. But the moment you decide yes, bust out the money, get the good thing that's going to last you forever, so you don't have to buy twice and you can rely on it, because now you know how to appreciate this gear. That's my 2 cents.
Cool. So actually, let me interject there real quick too. So this wasn't something we had planned, but I think this is really good because, again, when we're doing this, we're not just doing this for us. We want our viewers to get something out of this. And for the most part, right, we're looking for entertainment, but occasionally we're really hoping that we can help other people who are in the streaming community. Deciding where you want to put your money is an extremely important decision, and there's so many different ways that you can blow cash when it comes to streaming. And I think one of the biggest areas I see people blow money is trying to upgrade their mics before they understand what they're doing. And like, you can get a nice XLR mic for $100 to $150, or you can get a really nice USB mic like the
Blue Snowball.
Yeah, like the Blue Snowball.
$30.
But if you start going up past that and you start looking at like $300 to $500 mics or $1,000 mic that you would see in a professional studio, if you're not using that mic for things that you would use in a professional studio, you're blowing your money. Yep. If you are looking at getting a DSLR camera as one of your initial upgrades because you really like the way some streamers have high quality cameras, but you don't plan on doing any video shooting or photography, you should probably reconsider where you're actually going to invest that money. So I'd strongly suggest, guys, that when it comes to investing in a single hobby, reach out to whatever communities you have available to you, and you absolutely have our community available to you, and get some feedback, and it can't just be, this is what I have now and this is what I'm thinking about getting. It needs to be, this is what I have now, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I would like to do. Because oftentimes you can reroute some of that money, like $40 or $50, and instead of buying a DSLR, you might find that, I don't know, upgrading a graphics card could lead to a much better experience, or doing this or that, or getting a new chair, because the chair is extremely important. The chair's not extremely important, guys. Don't do it.
That's funny, man, because now that he was talking about the Canon SL2, I think I have a Canon SL2. Because I remember spending like $300-400 on it, and I don't know why I brought this Brio if I can look like that. You know what I'm saying?
So it's not so okay. So the image quality between you and I is the exact same.
Yeah.
This camera's shooting at 1080 at 30. That's it. No more pixels or anything like that. It's shooting at f5.6, which gives a pretty deep depth of field, which basically is what your camera's equivalent to right now. The difference is, look where our shadows are going. Right? Where's the shadow from your nose hitting on your body? Or on your face, right? You have a very kind of evenly lit face.
Yeah.
And everything's kind of like the lighting's going straight towards you. I can see the shadow from your mic on your left arm,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little soft. That's great. But you're well lit. There's nothing really bad about that. With mine, you can see that the sharpness of the shadow from my hat is super soft. Everything, any kind of shadow that goes over me is super soft because that's a massive light source.
Yeah.
But that is literally the only difference. If you had this light source on you, you're going to look entirely different, but not better per se. It's just a different look. And so let's break it down. Like going off of what Shane was talking about, because you're absolutely right. Don't blow all your money on any one thing, right? So in the realm of what is it? Actually, can you see the reflection of this giant light in front of me? No, you can't. It's just way too big. It's just a giant white spot. Anyway, so you want to get into the field of streaming, right? The most important thing is audio, because people will forgive a crappy picture, but they won't forgive crappy audio. That's
so true.
Rule in all film work.
That is so true.
That's why you keep watching YouTube videos. If you can hear it, you're like, oh, it looks kind of crappy, but maybe the signal will get better. They'll forgive that. But if your audio sounds like shit, it looks great, and it's like, oh, fuck this, I'm not even gonna be able to listen to it.
Yep.
So baseline, right? Baseline entry is a webcam. You know, this is a C920. This is what, 5 years old. You can probably get them for like $80 or so, if not less, on used. Well,
probably more right now.
People are like price gouging the crap out of webcams, but just get a cheap webcam. Anything that shoots 1080 ideally, but 720 works, because people are going to be watching your stream on a phone this big. Your face is going to be this big. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm pixel peeping to see if this guy's running at 1080 or 720. As long as it runs at 30 frames a second, that's all you need. 1080 is a perk, but it's not necessary. This also has a microphone built into it, right? So you can talk to your camera and people are going to hear you. That's all you need for your video and audio. Then, like I said earlier, go get a basic light from Home Depot, buy a shoot-through umbrella from any kind of photo website online for $15 with a light stand and a light mount. Duct tape everything together, because the camera's pointing this way. Y'all can't see my setup no matter how proud I am of it. Unless I threw a camera behind me, y'all aren't going to be able to see this. But actually, you know what? We can probably, I can do something. Let's see if we can embarrass ourselves.
While you're trying to do that, Nincheska in chat asked, I think, a very important question whenever it comes to understanding that lighting is very important. With your 3 lights that you have going right now, how hot is it?
Hot enough to have a dedicated fan. Because I have a green screen on, so all my stuff's getting all wonky. But yeah, look at this stuff. This is all just junk. Like that lens right there, that's a $600 lens. I've got a $45 this is my camera right here. Right, so it's just a little SL2 with like a little plug and stuff. All right, I'm going to turn this off before I show off any kind of porn or something by accident, because that's how lives get ruined.
Stuck back there, is she?
All right, so that's a mess, right? It looks like shit. I have cables running everywhere. I have a fan running, but you can't hear it because the audio, blah blah blah, the mixer. So in the last 2 weeks, I put a lot of time into getting my stream working. Literally, I was up for about 72 hours working on this crap, because it's such a monster of a new realm. I kept running into new roadblocks. There was constantly something new to have to tackle.
So real quick, Peaches. So we've talked about how all of your background in film and photography and, the audio that you picked up along the way, how all of these things have helped position you for streaming. But it's still not a direct correlation. So there's going to be some things that are very unique to streaming that, regardless of that background experience, that I know, well, personally, I know, but I know that people who are in your position are still going to struggle with trying to get into streaming. So tell me about one of the like top 2 to 3 things that regardless of your experience, you were still like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Sure, absolutely. No, I've got a gang of that. So let's talk about system specs, right? So I've got a bunch of badass camera gear. This camera was like a couple $100. I've got all this shit that would cost a lot of money, and I can make a really badass looking music video or a whatever talking head video if I need to. But can I play a game on ultra settings from 2020? No. It's like
Damn.
I'm running an i5 8800 or 8400, 16 gigs of RAM, and a GTX 1080 that I got used from a Bitcoin miner for $300. The thing has a lot of miles on it, and basically it's a budget PC. With that being said, trying to stream off of that while I'm running Call of Duty Warzone, it just eats shit. It kills itself.
Mhm.
It eats its own head. And so what's weird about that is that so my handle on Twitch is Excalibur VR. So I'm a huge virtual reality freak. I got a lot of VR headsets. I love VR games. So when I started doing that, I was playing those games. That's why I built the computer. I didn't have that computer for video editing or photo editing. I had laptops for that because it's not very like resource intensive. It doesn't care how many like what badass video card you have. You only need 16 gigs of RAM, and an i5 is good enough for almost anything. But enter the gaming world and you get shut down like Paul Walker in that tree.
Oh
And
my
so,
God.
and so, looking back at when I was streaming the first time about 3 months ago, I'm sorry, 8 months ago, I was able to run VR games because VR games are very, very GPU intensive. But they all look like Counter Strike 1.6. The graphics are shit. It's
That
like
is
a
so
game
true.
from the Super Nintendo era, but they're fun because you're in the game, right? That's a huge redeeming quality about these games. People are going to forgive crappy visuals because it's way more fun, right? That's why Pac-Man was the highest selling game of all time forever. But moving into today's world where I want to play Call of Duty, which is the newest game out there, and it's just hot shit and it's fun and it's
you.
the biggest game in the world. It's 250 terabytes or whatever. Nobody knows. It just keeps growing. It's just a
That's what
virus.
it feels like.
And so
It's true.
and so getting into that, I was like, okay, yeah, let me just do Call of Duty and then stream it just like I did everything else. And my system was like, no, guess what? Here's some drop frames, and we're gonna overheat your processor to the point that it melts a hole in the floor.
Some drop frames.
I
Some.
got 30%.
I seem to remember when we jumped into your stream last week and
Oh,
you were
that's
running around
right.
with a grenade and you were like,
Oh yeah, I couldn't even let go of the grenade. I was just insta dying because I would think about pulling the grenade out and my guy would already be dead. I'm like, what just happened? So anyway, that was my system being overloaded, right? And so for a newbie streamer, you're just like, shit, what do I do? How do I get around that? And I had to learn how to broadcast out in 720 as opposed to 1080 because I thought everybody wanted to see my badass stream in all its glory. Nobody cares. So 90% of people are watching it on the phone. Right now, people are watching on Twitch, probably on their phones.
Yep.
Excuse me. So the output of my stuff doesn't need to be the best of all time. It just needs to get out there. It needs to be done because that's better than perfect. And so even that wasn't enough. So what I had to do is I was fortunate enough to already have another laptop, and it doesn't need to be a beast laptop, but I was able to utilize what's called NDI, which is it's a network device integration. What that means is that you're able to tell your computer that you're gaming on. It basically puts a flag on the signal that you're gaming on. And you put another NDI entry onto your streaming laptop or your other streaming computer, and that's got a receiver. And so that transmission of the game being played on the local network gets caught by NDI, and it grabs that signal and pulls it into the streaming computer, throws it into OBS, which OBS is not a lot of overhead, right? It's only like 15% CPU on an i7. But sometimes that's 15% you don't have on a gaming computer. And so I was able to offload that, the source imagery, like the audio and video from the game, and my mic, because that's considered system audio, push that over the internet, local internet, to my streaming computer. And then OBS is able to throw all my overlays and all my sound effects and all my cool stuff on there, and then that shoots out into the world on the open internet. So I took all that load off of my gaming PC. That was easy enough to say, right? That took like 5 minutes to describe. It took me 3 days straight and a lot of coffee and about like I used to have hair and I ripped it all out with my bare hands because NDI hates me. The gods of streaming were just forbidding me to succeed at any of this. And I work in IT. So it was a double
Damn.
whammy of impactful, like, you suck at life. And I was not happy. but I finally got it. That was step one. That was just getting the game to my streaming computer. And then I had to figure out bitrate. I had to figure out audio compression. I had to figure out my own mixer, because this mixer was a gift from a friend for my birthday.
Did you figure this out all on your own, or did you reach out to
I reached
other
into
people?
the depths of Google and fondled Google's testicles and begged for some assistance. I was finding articles from 2004 that were helping me, because there's nothing out there for.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
There
for the
really
basic
isn't a lot
overlay
for
of
NDI.
NDI configuration for a dual PC streaming setup. There's basic information out there, but sometimes you run into these little quirks that, when it's like, I remember seeing an XKCD comic where the guy's looking for some assistance on a technical issue, and he finds a forum article from like 2003, and he's like, user baller 69, what happened to you? Because he got the solution, but he never answered. That's exactly what I ran into. So it was super stressful, but it was a project to me. I wanted to learn how to do this, and I dove headfirst into it. And I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought a bunch of cables, bought a bunch of crap that I wasn't even sure if I would need. So I probably ended up spending a lot more money than I had to. But at the end of the day, if you have a decent gaming computer, get a decent webcam, that's all you need, and a personality. People are afraid to talk on stream. I've noticed that when I would watch streams on games that I liked, if people weren't talking, I'm like, I might as well be watching a preview of this game, because who are you? But the moment I would hop in and I would start getting to converse with the person who was playing the game, I immediately felt like, oh man, that's like Michael Jordan talking to me in the middle of the game. This is a hero of mine. Even though I don't know this guy, we got something in common now. We like the same game. And hey, they're cool to hang out with. Doesn't matter how attractive you are, how you sound, how funny you are, just talk. Just put yourself out there, because it's easier than you think. And if you're already putting yourself on the internet, take the extra step. People are going to love you for it. People are going to be trolls all the time anyway. Ban them. Move on.
Dude,
Yep.
that's
Ban
gonna
'em.
happen. So I appreciate you sharing your experiences with both how your background prepped you for entering into the streaming space, and how, regardless of the fact that you work in a tech field, you have filmmaking background, you have photography background, you're still like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And I know that you ran into the issues with NDI, you ran into the issues with trying to stream from one computer and not fully understanding where the bottleneck is. I know that you ran into your issues with the audio, making sure that you guys are reaching out, utilizing your network, utilizing Google to get through that. I appreciate you sharing those experiences with us. So now, though, we want to switch gears. And I didn't prep Peaches for this, and I don't think he's aware of what we're about to do, but we're about to play a game, okay? So we're going to play a quick game with you. It's called What the Fact.
What the
Are
fact?
you ready?
What the fact?
Are you
What the
ready
fact?
to play?
What the fact?
Holy,
FAQ.
what the fuck?
Thank you.
FAQ. Oh, like
FAQ, what the fact? So in a moment, we will get the intro rolling for our nice game show. This game was created by DJ FM. And
Intro's already happened.
Did you say the intro already happened? Oh, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, you can't hear
You
it.
just can't hear it.
Nope. Unfortunately, you guys can't hear it. Just
you
me.
got to give us your best impression.
Yeah, do it.
God,
I
I don't even think. I probably couldn't do it.
I'll send it to you later. So what this is going to be, though, we
You'll
have
hear
a
it.
series of 10 questions. You got it?
Huh? No.
Oh, we have a series of 10 questions. The questions are very simple. Well, the questions are actually very complicated. But then you just have to answer either is the statement true or false? And
Simple as that.
Simple. You have a 50% chance of getting them correct. We will make a deal with you. If you get 8 out of 10 correct, I feel like we were harsh on Jason.
Damn, going easy on him. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even get a chance for a C.
No.
Nope. Nope.
If you get 8 out of 10 correct, we'll hook you up with some Elev8ed Gaming merch.
Nice.
Yeah. So we will get started. You want to ask him the first question?
Can I take
DJ?
a potty break? Because I'm doing the
Or-
pee dance in my chair.
Oh yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
Go.
Oh, here you go. Yeah. Cut. So we will continue with
God.
what the fact whenever Peaches returns.
I should when he asked for that when he asked to go to the restroom, I should have just went like I should hit the buzzer.
No,
I forgot you couldn't hear it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
That's
Oh, you're in
you have
Discord.
found You're in
Oh, you know
Discord,
what? Yeah, I should probably.
and I muted. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did.
It's because it comes through Zoom,
How come it's not coming
not
through
just
mine?
Discord.
Well, did you hear mine?
Play. Did you do it from the board?
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, we're not even in Discord together anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Going hardcore on that shit.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
How'd you do that? You
I
gotta
have no
teach me
idea, dude.
that.
I just set up the shit and it works.
All right, we gotta figure out later why that worked.
Yeah, so real quick, guys, while we're waiting for Peaches to come back, thanks you to everybody that is still in the chats. Sorry that we're not as active in the chats, but we found that for the editing purposes and getting it up on YouTube, it makes it a lot easier if we call out specific comments here and there, and it can get disruptive for the flow of the podcast. But we really appreciate everybody being there. I see you out there, Nincheska and Psionic. Thank you so much for that follow. I really appreciate it. Guys, we will be playing some Quantum League. We'll be duoing it up. Horatio, I saw you out there, but we also have to knock out our 5 games for IGL. So back on track. What the fact?
What the fact?
What?
What the fact? So we have 10. I keep saying 10 questions. Technically, it's not a question. They're 10 statements, and then you have to proclaim whether you think they are true or false.
Got it.
So
You
it's
ready to
not
get
a true or false
I'm ready.
question?
It's not. No, actually, these are all statements. They're not questions. It is a question in the form of a statement versus a statement in the form of a question.
Oh man. Okay.
So
I'm
you
doing
want to start?
Okay. Question number 1. A mantis shrimp can punch with the force of a 22 caliber bullet. True or false?
False. Right, true. True, it's true.
Is that your final answer? I never had to ask that before, but you went true, true, false, true.
Yeah.
And it's not the Konami cheat code here, Peaches.
I'm gonna say that is a fact.
That is true.
Good job. Good
Okay.
job. So it's so fast. The mantis shrimp is so fast that the punch can't be seen with the human eye. It can break through glass and is used for hunting down prey. Mantis shrimps have other incredible properties. They see color like nothing else in the animal kingdom with 12 different photoreceptor types.
True.
If you're, yeah, so that was it. So think about it, guys. So this is a little bitty shrimp that can punch hard enough. Like it's a 22 bullet.
That's
This is
insane,
why
dude.
I was really mad in the Avengers when the Mantis chick, hot, her only power was like, I can sense your feelings. You're feeling sad. And it's like, punch him with the force of 1,000 suns. What are you doing? Kill Thanos. Thanos did nothing wrong, by the way. I like how we're in sync with our little
All right.
steps.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, hold on.
So, question statement number 2. Nintendo was founded in 1889.
Oh. Nintendo?
Nintendo.
1889?
Correct.
1889.
1889. Man, that's like it's Japan though, man. Like they're like old school. I think they're on a different timeline. Man, because it makes me think of Nickelodeon, right? Because we all think of Nickelodeon cartoons, but Nickelodeon was a nickel movie theater for cartoons way back in the cowboy days. So Nintendo. So if I remember back from Japanese class, Nintendo translated comes out to 9 and 10, and they couldn't fit all the characters because of the character limit in Windows. So it's supposed to be DOS, but it's just DO. And so 9, 10, that's 190 minus DOS brings us back down to 180. So I'm going to say true.
What in the
That's some
fuck?
really weird shit you just pulled there, but you're accurate.
You're fucking right.
It's true.
I'm mind blown right now.
Is what you just said true? Parts of it at
They'd
least?
say true.
Okay. So the beloved Japanese gaming company is about 100 years older than you probably thought. Not you, but other people probably thought. So decades before Pokemon and Mario, Nintendo started out as a card game company. They slowly branched out into other forms of gaming over the years.
I obviously knew that. So
Yeah, clearly.
I mean,
So
yeah.
the statements questions are going to become more difficult from this point forward.
oh yeah, no, I figured those were warm ups because I'm like,
Yeah, those are
nice.
warm ups.
Yeah,
Clearly,
I
we were-
already went pee.
We were hoping you'd know that one, along with the explanation.
Wait, that's of the 10, right? So I only
No,
need
you're-
6 more to be right.
correct.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean,
I'm
true.
waiting for my swag, dude. I'm getting this. Let's do it.
All right, number 3.
True, false, false, true, true, false.
Write it down.
We'll be able to roll it back and see if that's true. Let's go ahead. Let's go from there.
A bear that fought with Poland in World War II was promoted to rank of lieutenant. False or true? Or true?
A bear that
false?
fought with Poland.
In World War II was
In World War
promoted to the rank of lieutenant.
Now, are we talking about like an animal bear or like a really burly,
An animal.
hairy?
No, an animal.
Rawr.
I can't recall if this was like a grizzly bear or a large brown bear, but it's definitely a large.
Or a polar bear.
True. Because there was definitely a lot of gay guys that fought in World War II. True.
Did you hit him with it? But we can't hear it.
Yeah.
So that one's
Is it
actually
false?
I hate that you guys can't hear it.
But it's not
What?
false in the way that you think. Okay.
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
rank. If you're gonna play me with the wrong rank, oh, that's
Yeah.
dumb. As fuck.
Yep. So the bear was actually promoted to corporal.
The bear I was talking about, his name was Billy. He was
So-
definitely-
He's thinking of the
definitely
polar
guy
bear.
thought.
So Wojtek, the soldier bear, was released from the prison camps of Siberia. So probably, do they have Siberian bears? Whatever.
I feel like I got that
Uh,
80% right.
You did get it 80% right.
We'll move on. We'll move on because I'm tired.
So-
I'm tired of feeling wrong. I don't like this world.
The Polish army looked after him and helped him out after the war effort, moving ammunition during the Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy. Following the battle, he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and after the Allies won World War II, the bear moved to Britain and lived in the Edinburgh Zoo until his death in 1963.
I got jacked by babushka. Let's move on.
Bamboozled by the bear.
So, you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in the galaxy.
Ooh, that's a really good one. There's trillions of trees. There's trillions of trees. Trillions.
Is there?
Trillions.
Man, that's a good one because I know that there are more stars than grains of sand. But are there more trees than grains of sand?
I did hear that we're running out of sand somewhere.
Ooh, that's a tough one. More trees than stars. We'll say true.
And you're correct. So, the number of trees on Earth is mind boggling. NASA estimates that there are between 100 billion and 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. 100 billion and 400 billion stars. According to a paper in Nature, there are more than 3 trillion trees on Earth, which means that there is a significant amount
Pretty good chance.
more
yeah.
trees than fucking stars. Like, that's crazy.
That's
What?
insane.
When you think about it, when we've seen pictures of the Earth, you only see 2 colors, right? You see blue, just fucking water, and green. Green makes up like almost all of the continents, which is fucking trees.
That is true. I didn't think about it that way.
It's crazy.
Why are we saving trees then if we have so many?
Yeah, right?
No,
The trees.
still important.
Sorry.
still
I didn't mean
important.
that. Sorry, HR.
I think that they serve.
Sorry,
Still
HR.
Trees may serve more purpose than stars. I'm not really sure on that.
They
though.
got like 3 purposes.
At least for me. So this next one that DJ's about to bring you is one of my favorites.
Oh.
I haven't seen them all. And the one that I've heard, this is my favorite too. It seems funny. I can't even read it
True.
because it's so funny. You ready? Betty White is older than sliced bread.
Are you googling that?
No, I'm looking at my water. That's my water.
He's
My
up.
liquid thought. Betty White is older than sliced bread. How old? Can I ask how old Betty White is?
Sure, I'll go ahead and give you that. That's fair. I don't think anybody's tried doing that yet out of the two people that have done this.
It's cheating.
Betty White is 98 years old.
All right, so it puts her at sliced bread coming in at 98. So 2020 puts her at
22.
1940. 1922 is when she was born. God dang, I want to say sliced bread came out in the Depression, so we'll say yes.
Damn, you're an intelligent person.
So true.
Yep, he
True.
said true.
Well, the option was true or false, not yes.
Oh, you're winning now.
So yeah, you're accurate again, man. So sliced bread hit the market on July 7th, 1928. And Betty White was born on January 17th, 1922.
6 years
Bread.
later.
Check my brain. Take that.
All right. Honey expires after 15 years.
False. It's in the Egyptian tombs. It's one of the things that are still edible in the pots of mummies.
So you're accurate. Do you know what the expiration is for honey?
Oh God, is that the same question? That's not
No.
the same question because that's not the answer. The expiration for honey. I want to say it never expires.
It's true. It never expires.
Nice. All right.
Smart guy.
Honey has a perfect chemical composition that makes it never spoil. Organisms can't live inside it, meaning that there's nothing that can spoil in the first place. 5,000-year-old honey has been found and in theory is perfectly edible. In theory.
Why has nobody tried that? I want the Egyptian god power. Okay, raw.
I wonder what
Alright.
it would taste like too. I wonder if it's
I
sweeter.
don't know.
I'm sure it wouldn't have changed. If nothing can live in it, it's not gonna change. Oh,
No,
but
it should-
probably
it
had
should-
really like
Hard.
no. Yeah, you can melt it though. You can just
Yeah.
You
put it
warm
on
it back
an
up?
Egyptian biscuit.
That would probably be stale.
Probably.
All right, DJ.
Okay, number 7. Baby carrots were invented in 1986.
True.
It's true.
Did you
That was
did you let him see that?
baby carrots are not actually baby carrots. In case you didn't know, they're chopped up normal carrots. Farmer Mike Eurosek invented them in 1986 as a way to use misshapen carrots that weren't sold in stores. So effectively, this dude in 1986 started the what's that produce company that sells
HEB,
bunk ass?
Kroger's,
No.
Academy. Barnes and Noble.
Family will answer it in a little bit.
Walton's.
It's the Imperfect Foods.
Oh yeah. We get that.
Subscription. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure Jazz gets
Wait,
that.
he's the guy who created baby carrots created Imperfect Foods.
That's basically what he did. The carrots were imperfect, and he was like, you know what, fuckers, here's some baby carrots. And I was like, oh, dude, baby carrots! I've never seen baby carrots.
It's genius.
I didn't know. I knew that they weren't real.
He didn't
like
actually.
they weren't
he
natural.
didn't actually create imperfect foods, but
But I didn't know that they were
made.
made. I didn't know they were cut up to be like that. That means there's a lot of like shavings of carrots out there.
I don't know if they're actually cut up or if they just take the.
You know, I've
Yeah,
always wondered that
carrots and then
too.
There's
resell
like
them.
circumcising carrots somewhere, like in
Yep,
some
yep.
farm. This one's a boy.
All right,
This one's a boy.
next
This one's a boy.
next one.
Like I said, all the boys.
If you drop silly putty from a great height, it'll shatter instead of bounce.
Ooh, that's a good question. If you drop silly putty from a great height, I can't. Oh man, that's tough. I can't decide if it would bounce back up. Like, I'm thinking like from the top of the Empire State Building, and I drop it on somebody. Would it just like explode that person or bounce off their head gently?
Explode that person.
Because it's like it would. Oh man, because it's if you squeeze it, well, it never solidifies, right? It's just, but it's a mold, and you can copy newspaper clippings with it. But it's not slime. It's not like the slime that's a liquid that then when you compress it, it's solid, and then it just like melts in your hand.
I love how he gives a
Doesn't
good
work.
explanation right before his decision.
Does it explode, or does it just bounce back up?
Not just explode, shatter.
Shatter.
Does it shatter?
Like you drop a plate and it just.
No. I'm gonna say it does not shatter.
It actually does.
Damn it.
Yeah, so Silly Putty, the weird bouncy rubbery thing that became a best-selling toy in the second half of the 20th century, has some weird physical properties. It's a non-Newtonian fluid, which means it sometimes acts like a fluid and sometimes like a solid. That's exactly what you're saying. Some YouTube experimenters showed exactly what that means. Dropping 50 pounds of Silly Putty from the top of a parking garage, instead of bouncing back up, it shattered like glass and made a crashing noise.
That is nuts. We got to try that.
Yep. It's on YouTube, so like you can look it up.
So
and
it
watch
would
Silly
explode
Putty
the person.
fucking shatter.
It would probably kill somebody.
It would go.
Why have the
in 3
terrorists not
inches and
taken
then-
that route?
Just drop a bunch of silly putty.
I mean, like they can't
All
afford
right.
nukes, but they could afford a whole tub of Silly Putty and just throw that out the back of a plane, and
Hey, don't
that's a bomb right there.
don't give them
But it's also
ideas.
gonna copy all the font, so it's a security risk.
Oh my god. Go for it.
A bunch of crazy ideas right now. All right, number 9. How many has he gotten right so far?
All of them.
No.
He is 6 out of 8 so far.
6 out of 8. 2 more.
You gotta get the next 2 right.
You get these next 2.
Oh man! All right,
Right.
go. Let's go.
Don't fuck it up. All right, number 9. Human children don't get kneecap bones until they're around 2 years old.
True, because I still haven't grown mine.
But that would mean that would be false because you're not 2 and you haven't gotten them yet.
As opposed to the alternative of them having always existed from birth.
That's true too. Well, I mean, what you said could be true.
I'm confused.
Pause on that one. Let's go to the next question. And
Oh, you want to come back to that one?
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. So the next question, which I really wanted this question to be last for you.
Okay, we can go back.
But-
True.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You say true?
True on the knees.
It's
Wait.
actually
True on the knees. I'm trying to stare into your eyes, see if I can see a reflection in your screen. No, I'll say true.
False.
eh.
False.
Damn it!
So human children don't get kneecap bones until they're around 3 years old.
These details are bullshit. Like, oh, you didn't get the rake. It
Mhm.
was a second corporal. Whatever. I'm a sore
I was
loser.
wondering if you would have caught on to that when there was too much detail, it's because we were fucking with you.
No, because nobody does that.
No.
Even
Nah, this
Steve
guy
Harvey
does
doesn't do
this.
that. He's just like blatantly
Steve
like,
Harvey.
And the winner is somebody else.
All right.
Last one's a
So-
redeeming question.
It is a redeeming question. The Guinness Book of World Records was created to settle bar arguments.
Dun, dun,
Ooh.
dun.
Cool. I want it to be true. I really want it to be true.
Then you should ask yourself, how often do you get what you want?
How often do I get what I want?
No, he powered up, man. He rubbed his beard.
All right, this channel is going ASMR for a second. True.
It is true.
Yeah.
The official origin story for the Guinness Book of World Records, the annual book that catalogs all of human achievement, is that it was used to settle an argument over whether the golden plover or the red grouse is the fastest game bird in Europe. It's the plover. One of the
Everybody knows
people
that.
arguing,
Clover.
Sir Hugh Beaver. This dude's name was Hugh Beaver. Huge Beaver. The managing director of the Guinness Brewery noted that the answer was hard to find in reference books, so he started one to settle these kinds of trivial arguments, and the Guinness Book of World Records was born in 1955.
Awesome.
That's crazy.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I feel like that's one of those ones that a year from now or however long it is before we can get back to the fucking hey, we haven't been there so long, I've already forgotten. What's the fucking pirate place called? The it's not even a pirate place, the Irish pub. where we just hang out with all of our
Yeah.
pirate friends.
Yes.
I'm gonna see you there drunk one night, and you're gonna be like, "Yo, did you know that the Guinness Book of World
And you're gonna
Records?"
whip out the entire book.
Yep.
Like, well, actually,
Bam!
we can find out right now, bitch.
So that you got 7 out of 10, but I'll give you that.
Close.
Good job on getting that redeeming question. We will hook you up with something.
All about
Figure it out.
I like this
Something.
game.
But in order to be hooked up with the original, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you tell us why it is that you should never toast with a glass of water?
So way back in the day of the Vikings, when they would have the Yule season, like the holiday, it was kind of like a ceasefire for everybody. All the clans would come together, and then they would figure out their laws and stuff, and then they would agree to the laws and the policies and whatnot by slamming their little drinking horns together in a show that they would do so hard that the liquid would pour from one to the other, showing that if I had poisoned your drink, I'm now sharing that poison. So it's a show of trust. Water doesn't have anything in it, so you'd be able to see poison ideally, and so it is an empty gesture to cheers or clink glasses with anybody with water, because it's just saying I would rather poison you.
Damn, it's crazy.
It really is, right? Nice information to know for when you're fucked up at the bar.
How do you know these things?
I was born with this knowledge.
Maybe it's Maybelline. You know?
He reads a book, random facts.
No fucking way of knowing. Well, that is going to bring us to a closure for the podcast this evening. Peaches, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us a lot of your different wisdoms
Thank
that
you,
you've
guys.
acquired over the way. I would absolutely enjoy having you back sometime down the road. I think there's a lot more information that we could cover, and I think that your personality lends itself very well to us. So the next time DJ's sick, I'm going to hit you up.
Yep.
I'd be honored, and DJ, don't feel like you have to get sick just to have me back. I'd be happy to come back anytime. Thank you guys for having
Oh,
me.
I'll be happy to
You're
get
welcome.
sick for you, man. Don't
Do
worry.
you happen to know, is the 48-hour film fest going to be canceled right now? Is it still happening?
No idea at this time.
No idea. Just
It
curious.
should be happening this month or so, but I'd imagine they just didn't send any communications out.
Well,
We could always do
we'll
our
find out.
own. We can just do a 48-hour film project via Zoom.
We should do a 48-hour film
That would be something
Twitch
new.
commercial project.
We should do a 48-hour stream.
No,
Holy fuck.
no,
No.
no.
You could start off with a 24 because you haven't even done a 24-hour stream yet.
Once you do
Oh,
24,
yeah,
you'll
I've
understand.
done gaming sessions at the Extra Life events for 24 hours, but I've never
It's
streamed for that
different
long.
streaming. It is. But at some point, we would be down to do that. Maybe as a trio. That would be fun. Maybe.
Awesome.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
8-hour shifts.
Usually an artist. But this brings us to a closure for the podcast, guys. So thank you very much for joining us. As always, remember to give us a subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and drop us a comment if you enjoyed watching. If you want to see any particular topics being covered, whether it's on something specific to streaming or gaming, or maybe you just like the way that Peaches, caressed his beard. Whatever you guys want to see us talk about, leave us a comment down below, and we'll catch you next time.